Hello and welcome. I hope you're all doing well. Today I'm going to be teaching you how I use acrylic paint to make 3D flowers, and this is one of the most important pieces, which we will be able to attach any base to and use that rod to spin around, and that'll give you good angles on the whole thing. Now if you get any frosting piping set, you'll get these pieces, which is the piping tips. Both of those are leaf piping tips, as well as a coupler, which is the plastic that you see at the bottom to attach it to the bag. Now the last piece is a flat one that's also very thin. We'll be able to use that for making roses primarily, but we'll get into that later. And that's the paint that I was using. So basically you just want to remove the coupler, and you're going to place the bottom part of the coupler into a piping bag. And it has to be all the way to the back. You cut the plastic off so there's an opening, and then you'll put the piping tip over top of it and then screw it in with the other piece of the coupler. Now I just wanted to say really quickly that the whole point of this video is to teach you how you can make basic flowers so that you can make any flower that can come into your mind. You can use a different variety of tips, you can use a different method, which I'll teach you a few of them, and you might even be able to make flowers that don't even exist. I also wanted to thank you guys for all of your support. It's really crazy, but we're almost at 2,000 subscribers. I really appreciate you all, and thank you. Now here we're going to get to the fun part of adding the paint into the bag. If you're using the same paint, this is Free Art Materials heavy texture paint. You can just pipe it directly into that bag. Unfortunately, you can't add the piping tip directly onto the bag that the paint comes in, but this is a very easy way to place the paint in. And a lot of you guys were wondering how you would store something like this, and I'll let you know very shortly. Now this next step is adding paint to the bottom of a tray or a lid or any piece of plastic that you can paint on and spin around just to give you more work area. And I just used lids on some Tupperware, and then that's where you attach the piece with the rod. The first step will be to add paint in the middle, and you want to spin around, add a base. You're going to do 2 spin arounds like this, add another layer over top of it, keep going around so that it gets thicker, and then you go up and paint 1 layer on top because you want this base to be a little bit higher. You're just creating something sturdy and high up that you can paint on. So now you go from the bottom and paint your lines up and then back down. These are going to be the petals of our rose. So you start from the bottom, you bring it up, and there I just did 3 petals across the top. Once you've done that, you'll see there are parts at the bottom that need some cleaning up. So you'll just cover those with more petals. From the bottom, up, and then back down. Up, and back down. So your first layer of petals, you want about 3 to 4 petals, and then after that you just want to focus on covering the open areas. Like you can see, there are some open areas or any areas that are just stick out, because that will happen a lot. It's paint, it gets a bit messy, but it's just important to apply constant pressure on the piping bag and just have fun, because you can always, if you mess this up and you don't like it, grab a palette knife, scrape it out, and put it back in the bag. It's very simple to practice with. You don't have to get frustrated because there's very low risk. Now here I wanted to show you a previous one, just peeling this off. My favorite part. This is why we use anything plastic, because the paint just doesn't stick to it when it dries. So you can see the cleanup is very easy with this paint. And here you see a better angle of me placing this down. The paint just keeps it sturdy, and it's very easy to remove as well after. So here we're going to be working on another rose. So just to repeat the process, you can use any color. You want to make your base about 1 or 2 go-arounds just to really get it strong and sturdy. Make another layer over top and then 1 upwards. So you want to start from the bottom. You don't want to just start at the very top when you're making this. You want it to connect to the bottom. And then you could start with your petals, and you see there's some parts that stick out, so you just want to cover them by starting from the bottom, going upwards, and carrying it back down. This will give it a rounded petal look, and it'll also hide a lot of imperfections. So back to how I store the paint. When I have the piping tip on, it's a bit of a cleanup. So to preserve it and use the piping tip more than once, I'll just leave it attached to the bag, and I'll put saran wrap over top of it. Maybe I'll put a few drops of water, but the saran wrap, if you tighten it around the coupler, then it'll create enough of a seal that no paint will dry. And here's another thing that I do with some roses, is at the end I'll just make some wavy looking petals at the bottom, like they're more open. And you could do this if you want, or you could do it the other way, and you can also use this for different flowers as well. Now here I'm going to be doing a different kind of flower with a different color. You start in the middle, you'll see it better in a second, but you just drag some petals outwards. You're making a base of just some lines going out. So you just want to make as many petals as will fit without being too busy. You want them to all have space, and you want them to be uneven because this is nature. And then right where they connect at the top, you want to add another layer going upwards and outwards, because this is going to cover up the messier part and also give another layer to the flower, make it look more full. Now here you'll see it, how it looks. It's one of my favorite ones to make, and you can also, if you make it bigger, do 3 layers. But I just decided to keep them small, show you how they're working, because I was using these for a very small canvas. Now I sped this part up, but you can see that you can do it on this canvas still has its plastic, but you can do it on a flat surface without spinning it around, but it is a lot more difficult. You see, you have to do some crazy angles, and you'll see in the end those flowers were a bit wonky compared to the others. So it's just easier to be able to spin the flower around, get the angles right without twisting your whole body and everything. Here's another flower that I scraped off before that I messed up, but I wasn't able to save as much paint. I love peeling it though. Now here I'll show you another type of flower that you can do. So you just want to press your rod into the middle of the tray or anything that you use, and you're going to start by making the base like we always do. And this can be a little uglier because it's going to be covered up. Now we're going to be using the leaf piping tip to add flowers like they're covering up this middle section. This is going to be a very sturdy base and also a more detailed looking one. And you could do as many layers like this as you want, but for this one I wanted to keep it a bit simple, like it's a flower opening up. So now we go to the base layer, making lines going all the way out, and just have fun with this. They don't have to be even, so don't be upset if it's not perfect. That's how flowers naturally look. Now you're going to make your third layer right in the middle, covering them both up, so the messy parts are hidden, and it also gives enough dimension and layers to make it look like it's a flower opening up. Now here we're going to be making another rose, but with a very rounded tip. As you can see, it's a more rounded and a thinner tip, so it gives a wavy look to the paint. We still start with our base, which you can start with any flower. And this tip was a bit annoying because things kept getting stuck in it. It was very thin, so any sort of imperfection or dried paint would get stuck. But we use the same process. Go from the bottom up, make our first few petals, and you could see how wavy it gets. It gives a really cool look at the end. especially because of how thin yet strong the petals are. It's very cool to feel. But yeah, we just keep going all the way around, spinning it slowly, getting a different angle each time. And the wavier ones are definitely a different look, and I think I like them more, but I'd love to know what you guys think. Also, if you guys ever end up trying this, I would love to see it. You can send me a picture on Instagram, or send me by email. I would love to see it, either way. And I have this thing where I can feature your art on my Instagram story, with your credit and with your permission, of course. You don't have to do that, but either way, I'd love to see what you guys make. I'm also fairly new to YouTube, so I would appreciate any feedback that you'd have on this video. I just want to be making better content for you guys, so anything that you guys can give me would help a lot. Now, I won't be talking while we're peeling these off, so I'll be back in a second. And here's the painting that I used them for. So I'd love to know what you guys think, and thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you take care.